as a leader, you need to make bold decisions, tough decisions, but you also want to empower your team to make bold decisions, and you want to give them the tools and the space to be able to do that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back, Championship Leadership Podcast. We got Damon Lembi with us here today. It's just outside of San Francisco, California. So thanks for being here.
Nate, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we've been lining this up for a while, and excited to do this thing today. So, well, I know you've done some homework and listened to a couple episodes. You already know what the first question is: championship leadership. And I know you're a sports guy too, and with a baseball background. So, what does championship leadership mean to you when you hear that?
So what it means to me, championship leadership, is whether you're running a sports team or leading a business, I think it all starts with, having a great vision for your team, which can also include like moonshot goals you set out there, but also like challenging your team, challenging yourself and your team, getting them out of their comfort zone, and to try things and not be afraid to fail, as well as I think a strong culture and environment is one of collaboration, but also competitiveness. I think it's totally fine for friendly competitiveness. And last, but definitely not least, is I think championship leadership is playing to win, instead of just playing not to lose, which I think you see quite a bit out there these days.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, as a leader, you need to make bold decisions, tough decisions, but you also want to empower your team to make bold decisions, and you want to give them the tools and the space to be able to do that.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I love that. It's always fun. We're almost 400 episodes in, and we continue getting different answers on that question. So it's always fun. Maybe when I start to get the same answer, I'll stop asking the question. But
yeah,
at this point, I don't think that's going to happen. Well, yeah, tell us a little bit more about yourself and who you are and kind of your background and how that's gotten you to where you are today. What is it that you're up to today?
Sure. So like you mentioned, I'm Damon Lembi, and I live outside of the San Francisco Bay Area. I grew up really with sports focused. When I was in high school, I was fortunate enough to be drafted in the 13th round by the Atlanta Braves quite a while ago. And I chose the college route instead, and to go to Pepperdine. I had a full ride, and I did that because I really believed in the vision that our coach Andy Lopez had, which was, as a small university, to win the College World Series, which but I got there and I ended up getting hurt and leaving. But sure enough, Coach Lopez was right. Him and I are in touch these days, and they won the College World Series the year after I left, which was awesome. I ended up at Arizona State University, had a good career there, and I was looking to continue on with my baseball career. And what happens sometimes to athletes is you put all your eggs in one basket, and when you're ready to go to the next level, it just kind of ended. I didn't get drafted, decided not to pursue the independent leagues, and I was 23 years old, 22 years old, and didn't really know if my skills were transferable, so I'm like, what am I going to do next? And I was really fortunate. I came from a family. We had a really large real estate company in San Francisco and a bunch of other companies. And one that my dad was starting was this corporate training company called Learn It. And I started there as a receptionist 28 years ago, and worked my way up over 7 years. And I'm proud to say now, we've upskilled close to 2 million people over those 28 years. Wow. And all B2B. So that's really what I've been doing now. I wrote a book earlier this year called The Learn It All Leader, which is really just my experience. I played for 3 Hall of Fame baseball coaches, and it's really how I've learned to model my leadership style after.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit more about Learn It.
So Learn It, we're a corporate training company. We focus on, I would say, virtual instructor-led training. We do some in-person work, and it's typically customers turn to us when they have individual contributors who are going to become managers for the first time. And as you know, it's a completely different skill set. So we help upskill them in how to be better coaches, or how to give feedback, or have difficult conversations.
Yeah.
And then we also do the other side of the fence, where we work on, if you want to learn how to use Excel or Microsoft Teams, and become more efficient at your job.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
typically
Yeah.
what we
That's it.
do. And we work with all sizes of organizations,
Yeah.
small and large.
Love it. Awesome. And then you said the Learn It Leader, is that the name of the book?
Yeah, the Learn It All leader.
Learn It All Leader. When did that come out? When did you release that?
April of this year.
Okay. Um, and then did you say that the 3 Hall of Fame coaches that you play for, you kind of learned a lot of lessons from them, and talk a little bit about that inside the book as well, or?
Yeah. The reason why I wrote the book really was, I just I wanted to be able to share what I've learned and help make a difference, and kind of tell some of the stories of the leadership I learned from these coaches, as well as, from my dad, who passed away in 2010. So I learned a lot of great lessons, a little bit of what we talked about with the championship leadership,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I learned from them.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I always like to hear, I mean, because we all have people. I think I've had a few that have told me, that have like stared blankly at me when I've had this question, be like, I don't really have anyone. I'm like, come on, dude, like, think a
Yeah.
little bit. Somebody's impacted your life somewhere along the way. But yeah, and when you come across, like you said, people that just have this lifetime achievement of greatness, Hall of Fame, and whether that's inside of an industry or a sport, it's always pretty impressive, right? And it's even more important when you actually take note of that. You realize the greatness you're around, right?
Absolutely.
And you have the fortuitousness to maybe like think, I should probably pay attention here, and take some of what these guys have to help me become a better leader, right? What are maybe a couple things that really stood out to you from some of those individuals, that your dad, or whoever else it might have impacted you?
Well, taking a step back, I think what you said is really key. For your listeners out there, if you get an opportunity, first of all, you could probably learn from anybody. Everybody that you
Yeah.
come in contact with. If you get curious enough and ask questions. But when you have an opportunity to meet with somebody who's super successful, my advice is just shut up and listen to them.
Yeah, totally.
And
Right.
be grateful for it. Right? I mean, what's
Yeah.
your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Ask a lot of questions too, right? I'm always kind of curious about certain things, or you notice how people handle certain situations, or why they do certain things a certain way. And just from that experience that they've had, obviously, and just being open to different ways of being and doing things is crucial. And having that attitude of, there's never really an arrival point, and I can always get better, and being open to, allowing others around me to help me to be better. That's, I think championship leaders on the flip side would be ones that would be super open to that, right? Would always be
Absolutely.
looking to learn from others. And I think there's a lot of insecure leaders out there that would be so closed off to that, because that would feel like a weakness to them in themselves, and that they have to have all the answers, and that's a disservice to them. That's a disservice to the people that they're leading or in charge of as well.
I mean,
And
I'm 100% with you. I mean, first and foremost, I think a lot of times really successful people want to share their stories with you,
yeah,
and
totally.
if you get curious and ask questions, and they want to help, if you sit there and listen. And also, I've had some of them be mentors for me, and sometimes I'll call them for advice. And when they give me advice, I'll follow up with them, and I'll say, "Hey, so and so, here's what I did with it, blah blah blah."
Yeah, yeah.
And people love that,
I bet
and
they
they
love
want
to
to
hear it,
continue.
right?
Yeah, they love to
Yeah,
hear it, and they they want it to be like a give and take relationship, not just one sided.
right.
Um, and then the other part you brought up, I mean, that's literally what my book's about. that I believe great leaders, first of all, I like to say, they're not made. I mean, they're not born, they're not made, they're always in the making. I mean, I think
Yeah.
championship leaders got to understand there's always room to get better,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't have to have all the answers,
Right.
and I think it's okay to be vulnerable, right? But you got to do it with confidence. You got to be like, hey, you know what? I don't have the answer to this question, or I messed this up. How can you help me? How can I learn from this? And I think I contrast in my book learn-it-alls versus know-it-alls. And know-it-alls are people
I
who,
like that. Yeah.
right? They have
Yeah.
all the answers. They got it figured out.
Yeah.
And they're not open, they're not flexible, they're not even listening to you when you're talking about them. Where, I think a learn-it-all is somebody who keeps an open mind, maybe has what's the saying, strong opinions but held lightly. If something comes
Yeah.
up and there's a better way to do something, they're like, you know what, let's do it. We got to continue
Yeah.
to evolve.
Yeah. It just makes me think of like the only place for know-it-alls is like children, right? Because I think about kids, sometimes they're not super
Yeah.
open to like coaching or feedback, especially for their parents. And I'm helping coach my son's 5th grade basketball team this year.
Oh yeah.
Some of those kids, they just, because they're kids and they're like, they feel maybe if they don't know what to do, then that's like a sign of weakness, right, for
Yeah.
them. And so they want to be like, I already know how to do that or whatever, right? It's like kind of a know-it-all. And I'm like, but they're kids, so it's all right. It's like, all right, we can coach them through that and help them just open up a bit and receive coaching and learn why that would be important. But yeah, when you're not a kid anymore, being a know-it-all like just is not the place you want to be. You don't want to be the smartest person on your team that has all the answers. Well, what would be the point of having a team, right? Like, I mean, so I love that you got that learn it all, know it all. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I think going back to the kids, I agree with you. Some of it starts with the parents, though. I mean, the parent,
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, the parent. I've coached. I went back and coached the frost off baseball team 10 or 15 years ago, and I was just a little, put off at some of the some of the interactions I had with the parents.
Parents ruin, like,
They
yeah,
ruin it, man.
they
They ruin it.
totally ruin it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
I've had some horrendous interactions with parents.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just wanted to play the kids who showed up on time and hustled.
Yeah. Right.
This is frost off baseball, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
trying to build them, who knows, who knows if they're going to make it to the varsity team or beyond that, but
Yeah.
it's more about putting in the effort.
Yeah.
I've got, and here's an example where being a know-it-all is great. I mean, I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And so when my 2-year-old, Wally, who's named after my dad, challenges me on bedtime, I'm like, no, this is it. You're back to the crib, buddy.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I still get the pushback on that.
Yeah.
Bedtime. But well, what's the vision for you and what you're looking to do with your company and even the book that you have and the impact that you're looking to make through that?
So Learn has been around, like I said, 28 years, and we still like to keep it as like a startup mentality. We're always trying to evolve and do things differently, and otherwise it would just get stale and status quo.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's continuous to figure out how to leverage some of the technologies that's out there to help with retention and learning. I think is helpful. We do, like I said, these virtual live instructor training. But as you know, you can't just do like a 1-2 hour class and feel like, now I'm fully competent at social awareness, self-awareness or something. So our vision is to start integrating more learning steps along the way and really just get in front of more customers and help them with, our goal is really, personally, it's like, I just want to build and help contribute to building better leaders for the future, for you got young kids, I got young kids, and I just hope that we can learn it can contribute to making better leaders for the future.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Definitely need it. It's needed. So now more than ever, I feel like, man, we need some strong leaders out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. what's kind of switch gears. What's a critical moment for you? That had you chosen differently in life could put you in a very different path than where you're at today. Because I think that's, there's a lot of people in those moments right now, and there's a lot of strength in hearing how others have, I guess, chosen or decided in those moments to help them out.
Yeah, I mean, really two come to mind. The first one was back in my college days when I got to Pepperdine. I was a high school All-American. Came in, really, top of my game. But to be honest, when I got there, I kind of lost my confidence. Everybody was at the same level, and I had a hard time. I had a hard time adjusting, and I ended up, like I said, I got hurt and left. And the pivotal moment for me was when I had the opportunity, Nate, to go to Arizona State. A lot of people said, don't go to Arizona State. I mean, you're going to have 15 guys trying out for first base. Go to some place, some D2 school or whatever. And I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna just go, put my fear aside and just hit it head on. Just give it everything I got. And I did, and I won the position. Hit a home run in the College World Series, and it really
Awesome.
it really helped. I didn't know it at the time, but it really helped with my future career in business, right? Because I just realized that you hit your fear head on, and you just get over imposter syndrome. And so that was the first big pivotal moment, was making that choice to go to Arizona State. The other one is personal. It's like 8 years ago, I decided to quit drinking, and I never got in trouble, never got any DUIs, but growing up and working in the Bay Area, you go out and have drinks quite often. And,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just one of the things that I decided to stop, and I've been super proud of, and I've never really felt sharper or better. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
as a dad of a 6-year-old and a
That's huge.
2-year-old, I don't know how I could get up at, when Lucy gets up at
Totally.
6:30 in the morning on a Saturday, and
Yeah.
like, hey, come on, let's go for a walk. It would have been a much different story. So
Yeah.
I'm proud of that.
Absolutely.
I'm proud of that
Good for
decision.
you. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not an easy one for many. So good for you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Um, how old are you?
I'm 51
51. All
and
right.
you're 46, right?
47. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's a player from Rochester. I think he might have been like player of the year, Restovich. I think he was Mike Rustovich. Anyways, yeah, I was thinking he was right around your age, but I guess you're just still a couple years older than him, because he
I,
was a few years younger than me. He's probably like 45.
yeah. He's probably, I mean, I played in the Cape Cod League in the summertime. And I mean, if you take anybody from, I'd say 48 to 52, 53, from Nomar Garcia Parra to Jason Veritek to Todd Helton, I played with a bunch of
Played
the
one. Yeah. Yeah.
great players.
Yeah. He, he bounced around the minor leagues and never really quite made it. Got called up a couple times at the end of the year, but unfortunately that was it. But still pretty amazing.
Hey, I don't think
Um,
people understand how difficult it is.
oh man, no,
You
I
know,
totally do. But yeah, yeah,
you see
absolutely.
you see these people at the game. A guy strikes out, and there's some guy, 4 beers deep with a hot dog, yelling at the guy.
Yeah,
Like,
it's right,
I
right.
mean, come on, man. I mean,
Yeah,
even to get to the minor leagues and the mental toughness and everything that it takes to get to the big leagues, I just have the utmost respect
oh seriously,
for
yeah,
any sport.
absolutely, yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, I played college football, and of course I always wanted to go pro, but just didn't have the necessary skill set to do it. But yeah, I mean, it's just even playing college, like you said. I mean, you realize the difference in skill levels and appreciate, people for what they can do. And then when you see a pro athlete, you realize the difference, right? It's like, yeah, speed kills, and just there's a whole nother level to just about everything. So
Yeah, a whole another
yeah,
level, including mental toughness.
yeah,
I mean, there's so much failure in football and in baseball. If you succeed 30% of the time, you're a millionaire, right?
yeah, right, right.
And I've
Yeah.
seen so many guys in the minor league levels or who had all the talent in the world, but they strike out their first at bat, gets in their head, and they can't get over it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like one of the big differences.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yep.
What's something else that's always kind of like, again, to that mental toughness. And I know baseball players like Knobloch, right? He couldn't throw it to first base from second base, like kind of out of the blue.
Steve Sachs
Golf,
too. Remember
yeah,
him?
there was a few others, right? And then like a few pitchers, right?
Yeah.
The Cardinal pitcher, I believe, that made the
Get thrown to the
transition to
backstop.
outfield. Yeah, yeah. Golfers that like top of their game, top of the world, that all of a sudden like can't make cuts, just getting the yips. It's like, that's all mindset. That's all mental. It's just crazy to realize how much that is and how hard it is for some of these people that have been at the top of their game, top of the world,
Yeah.
at one point, and how you can all of a sudden just lose it. So, I mean,
I bet you, did you ever have experience at all in the military?
With
just the mental toughness. I mean,
oh, well, yeah. I mean,
talk
absolutely.
about having to be incredibly mentally tough. I mean, that's a different level. You
some of the training that we had to go through, and I mean, it requires, and some people had it and some people didn't, I mean, it's this differentiator for sure. It really does separate you from those that don't. So yeah, that's a real thing for sure. And when you're talking about leadership, that's a big piece to great leaders as well. I think is just that mental fortitude and toughness. Definitely. Well, if there's one or two things that you could give to the listener before we wrap this up that would help move their life forward today, if they applied it today, what would that be?
Well, I would say first to the listeners that there's always an opportunity for growth. We talked about this a little bit more. So don't be afraid of failure and making mistakes, and just keep pushing forward. The other one is, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn, and you're interested and you want a free class, that's something you could apply today. I'll hook you up with a free class and coaching or feedback or whatever, and people pay $250 for it, but if you want, that's something you could use and apply today. So just reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Appreciate that. That's great.
Yeah.
Definitely take him up on that. Yeah. What are so LinkedIn kind of the main spot for you?
I would say, if you want to look at our website where our classes are, it's learnit, learnit.com. But really the main spot for me is LinkedIn at Damon Lembi.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get those linked up for everybody as well that's listening right now. So put them in the show notes, be easy to get to. And yeah, definitely reach out, send them a message, and take them up on that offer as well. So thanks, Damon, for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Nate.
I've enjoyed it.
Me too.